Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised,
I have ordered attacks on enemy military
targets. There could be no greater good than the quest for peace, and no finer purpose than the preservation of freedom.
Midway was a ship that coincidentally had an active career that spanned the entire length of the Cold War. She missed World War II by just 4 weeks, and so that meant that she was on hand for the very beginning of what was recognized as tensions between the Soviet Union and the Western powers. Well, by the time the 80s started, the Midway had grown accustomed to being stationed in Japan, but it also meant that the Midway really had a unique operational tempo that other American carriers did not have to face. The minute she cleared port, she's on her beat. She's got the North Koreans, she's got the Communist Chinese, she's got the Russians and their aircraft overflying and the ever-present intelligence ships. So the crew learned that you're always on duty and you have to be on the ball the moment you cast off.
The Russians were very curious about our carriers, and as we would approach there, they would send out reconnaissance planes. They always wanted to know where the carriers were. Anytime a Russian surveillance plane came out, we would intercept them outside a couple hundred miles and have a fighter right on their wing the whole time until they depart the pattern and they're, definitely going home for gas. We fly right at formation right up to them. They've got a little tail gunner back there. You wave at the guy, and they would try to fly low by the ship, and they wanted to see if they could get us to go with them and put us in the water, kind of push us. But we were smarter than them, so it didn't happen.
We were very serious about testing Soviet naval response to getting closer and closer to what they called the Bastion. So one of these was an exercise in the far North Pacific. The trouble, of course, is that you're operating in the world's worst flying weather. It can go from clear to pea soup in a heartbeat, and that turned into some very interesting misadventures for some Enterprise fighters.
When the tensions are a little bit higher, you're in Alert 5, which means you're actually sitting in the airplane with the canopy open, waiting for someone to start you up and go. Rick Berg was sitting in one plane, Tom Lawson in our Rios, where they were sitting in the other plane, and all of a sudden they came up with the launch the alert. You see the yellow shirts running around the deck with the run of the start signal. They turn it on, the huffer, canopy's coming down, engines coming online, boom, you're in the air. They sent us out about 100 miles, and we're just anchored at about 25,000 feet, just turning circles with the radar, looking for any targets. So we did that for not too awful long, and the ship came back up and said, false alarm. Your signal is max conserve, come back overhead the ship, and just hold overhead the ship. We're holding, and I think my Rio finally came up and said, give us our expected Charlie, and they said, your signal max conserve. So at that point, we're kind of thinking, yeah, something's going on. To kind of tell you where we were, Japan is 2,000 miles over there. Hawaii is 2,000 miles back there. The ship came up and said, your steer is 360 at 970 miles. So that's where we're going. We're going to Shemya, Alaska. But the weather's bad. It'll be dark when we get there. We're not feeling good. Then the ship came up and said, your signal divert schoolboy. I'm like, what in the heck does that mean? My Rio figured it out pretty quick, and Jeep's a character. Jeep goes, hey, we're going the Midway, we're going the Midway. We get their ILS frequency, which is key, because that's how you land in the bad weather. You fly the needles center to center all the way down, put you right on glide slope, put you right at the back of the boat. And I told my Rio, I said, look over the side and tell me when you can see water. He saw water at about 400 feet, and then about 150, 200 feet later, we broke out of the clouds enough to see the ship. Safe landing ensued. We taxied up to the bow. By the time we shut down, you couldn't see the back of the ship. It was pretty close getting in here. I was so impressed. I was so impressed. I mean, we got out of the airplane, they carted us right down to the wardroom, served us dinner, put us up in grand fashion for the evening, got up the next morning, and it was kid glove treatment the whole way. So yeah, these were the only two F-14s ever to land on the Midway.